Hello and good evening. My name is Marcus Ruiz-Evans, president of Yes California. I'd like to read to you the mass email statement we recently just sent out. It will be disturbing for some viewers, but it is important truths for all Californians to absorb. The title of the essay is "The Damage is Already Done. The November 3rd election doesn't matter." The current president, whose name we tire of seeing, let alone spelling out, has already left his mark. Win or lose, the damage is done. With this, we must make our peace, for what is done cannot be undone. Amy Coney Barrett is now on the Supreme Court. The ideological balance of the Supreme Court has shifted dramatically to the right. They now have a 6-3 majority. Even when Chief Justice John Roberts sides with the liberal justices of the court, as he has been known to do, the conservatives will still have a 5-4 majority. Which of the other 5 will you lay your hopes on to side with liberal justices? Kavanaugh, the 6th most ideological conservative justice in modern times? Perhaps Alito, the 8th, Gorsuch, the 9th, Thomas, the 14th, or Barrett herself, the 3rd appointee of the current president to the court? No, don't get your hopes up. The country doesn't have a hope in hell that the current Supreme Court will rule favorably on issues of importance to you, a Californian, a progressive who believes it is the responsibility of government to protect minorities, the disenfranchised, and marginalized communities from the tyranny of the rest. With the conservative majority unseen since the early years of the 20th century, this Supreme Court will undoubtedly roll back women's reproductive rights, if not outright overturn Roe v. Wade. This Supreme Court will strike down the last remnants of the Affordable Care Act, leaving millions without access to health care that they've come to rely on for the last decade. This Supreme Court will likely turn back the clock on rights for LGBTQ Americans who have won the right to marry, yet still face a deluge of daily discrimination. Don't count on this Supreme Court to protect any rights that have already been won, let alone affirm any new protections for the LGBTQ or any other vulnerable community. The best case scenario going forward is not moving forward. The best we can hope for is not to take any steps backwards. But we know that today, all around the country, conservative activists are planning and scheming to bring settled issues back before the court. When will the court be approached with another issue on family planning? Will conservatives try to relitigate marriage equality? Will they target campaign finance reform laws and undo those? Will they go further than they already have by making it more difficult for your ballot to count? Will they affirm strict voter ID laws, which will disproportionately impact brown and black-skinned minority Americans? You have to remember that in America, they used to have a poll tax and various tests to vote. They could easily return to that era, disenfranchising people who desperately have worked so hard over so many decades to be guaranteed their right to vote. That could all be lost. Don't put it past this court. Don't put it past them. With the super conservative majority, now is the time for them to act. With a 6-3 majority, the conservatives must be eyeing a wide playing field upon which they can pursue their conservative agenda all to their heart's desire. We in California will not be shielded by this, even if Joe Biden is elected president. We in California will not be protected from the extent of their judicial activism, even if Joe Biden is elected president. We in California will not be safe, even if Joe Biden is elected president next week. The damage is done. To use the words of the sitting president, it is what it is. Or is it? Perhaps there is a new direction we could take that would lead us into a different future where the ideological balance or imbalance of the Supreme Court of the United States had no impact on us here in California. Perhaps there is something we could do different that would allow us Californians to wash our hands of the mess that is Washington, including the forthcoming era of judicial Supreme Court oppression on minorities and all of us. Remember, everything outlined above is true no matter who is elected on November 3rd. The sun is now only rising on this forthcoming era of conservative oppression. But imagine how bad things will get if he whose name we choose not to say gets reelected. Yes. Unchecked by future electoral considerations and emboldened by victory, a so-called mandate, which he will claim, will lead the president to pursue even more items on the conservative agenda and wish list, and his government's antagonistic relationship and attitude towards California will continue for another 4 years and beyond. Will he get the chance to appoint a replacement to Justice Breyer, who just celebrated his 82nd birthday? There's no question that the president will continue to dangle federal funding, even emergency funding, over our heads as he uses natural disasters exacerbated by climate change to achieve petty political victories over blue states run by Democrats. And you know his favorite target is California. It will get much worse. And Gavin Newsom will have no choice but to continue to placate him so as to not be denied federal assistance in protecting our people from, you name it, raging wildfires, the pandemic, and who knows what other calamity is just going to pop up on the scene in the next couple of years. You should be alarmed. You should be alarmed. You should be alarmed. But you should also be optimistic. Not about an electoral victory by Joseph Biden to come in and save the day on Tuesday, for as we said, the damage is already done. And to be frank, more and more political experts are starting to predict the re-election of the incumbent president, whom Californians may vote against in record numbers next week. Has there ever been a time more urgent than now to initiate the process of California secession? The only reason to oppose secession at this point is if there existed an ounce of hope that things could get better in any way in this country. There is not. But the reality is things are getting worse, more hostile, more violent, more turbulent, and they will continue to get even worse. Joe Biden, even if he wins, is not going to unite and save the country. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. The only option remaining on the table is a national divorce, for the day of which John Quincy Adams once wrote has arrived. He said, "If the day should ever come, may heaven avert it, when the affections of the people of these states shall be alienated from each other, when the fraternal spirit shall give way to cold indifference, or collisions of interest shall fester into hatred, the bands of political association will not long hold together, parties no longer attracted by the magnetism of conciliated interest and kindly sympathies, and far better will it be for the people of the disunited states to part in friendship from each other than to be held together." That day is upon us, whether you want to admit it or not. That day is upon us here. Do his words exactly describe the situation we are in today? Does what John Adams say describe where we are today? Yes. Are the relations between the people of this country affectionate? No. Does the common spirit of unity in this country persist? No. Is there cold indifference? Yes. Collision of interests? Yes. Hatred? Yes. As Lincoln said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And so the bands of political association between California and the rest of the country will also not hold together, as we are less and less attracted by mutual interest and cause. Therefore, it will be far better for disunited states to formalize a national divorce, and California can lead the way. And California can then part with the other states under friendly terms, and therefore continue to be a friend of the United States as a free country. The time to initiate the process is now. Did we scare you? Well, it's the truth, and we're days away from Halloween. Thank you and good evening.